Warning, the following podcast contains true stories from two dudes that suffer from multiple TBIs and other mental issues. Some of the content will not make any sense. Listener's discretion is advised, especially if your name is Randy. We hate you. We're Denny and Eric, and this is the I Love Grandpa podcast. Yeah.
And we are live. We are joined today by the one and only Big Mike Gunny. And in the background right now doing VR is our man, Tim Molesky. And you are listening to I Love Grandpa live studio sessions. But we don't have Eric. So let's have a moment of silence for Eric. No, he's not dead. He's just back at home. We are traveling today, and we are at the wonderful Little Rock, Arkansas, PEC, where we just got done partaking in a mental health seminar. And with me today is the one and only Mike. And I always butcher this. Is it Gildersleeve?
Yeah, that's right.
It sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings.
Try being a kid. Took me to like the 5th grade.
Quickly, Gildersleeve, throw the one ring into the fire. As we've talked a lot before in previous episodes, Mike is part of our crew that met at Laurel Ridge, the mental health hospital, which we were all very fortunate to be at. And today, he's going to tell us and share with us his story. And it's only fitting that Mike comes in and wraps up our Laurel Ridge crew meet and greet. So today, without further ado, here's Mike Gildersleeve.
All right, so I promise everybody I'm going to talk a little bit more than Tim did because he made for a pretty boring episode with, his lack of ability to speak. But yeah, so, growing up, I always saw my life as normal. I didn't see it as anything else because I didn't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
So growing up for me was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had young parents in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah, Boston.
My mom was 14 when she got pregnant with me. My dad was 19. He was a truck driver. Well, He became a truck driver so he could support the family.
Nice. And I just want to let our audience know, you can't see it, but Mike is full-blown Mexican. That's why it's not shocking that his mom was 14 years old. No, he is not. He is, in fact, as white as snow. Irish. An Irish lad.
I look Irish. Yeah, my dad was Albanian, and my mom was a mix of something European. Yeah. I don't know what it is. So, growing up, we did a lot of moving. I think it was every year we moved to a different apartment. At first it started off good because we had moved out of Boston and moved to a place called Milford. And, my parents were renting a condo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty sweet. We had a backyard and stuff and, could go do things without being worried about crime or anything.
Yeah.
Then we ended up moving up the street, 2 houses up the street because my parents had bought a condo. And then I think it was like a year or two later, maybe more.
Yeah.
But they ended up filing for bankruptcy. We lost that place. And then after that, I just every year we were in a new apartment.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool in a way because we always get to decorate a room. And as soon as we walked into the place, they're like, all right, go pick your rooms. And
Yeah.
we go running. We're like, Ma, it's only 2 rooms. Well, I guess all y'all are sleeping together.
That's the great and wonderful thing about when you're going through adversity as a child Like, you really have no option but to like always be optimistic as a kid and always look at the bright side. Like, it's like growing up poor, I just always thought like, hey, this is normal.
Yeah.
Everybody has powdered milk.
You have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
We didn't have social media back then. So
Yeah.
it was like, hey, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
To make the best of what you got.
Exactly.
Nowadays, you got social media, so you can it opens your eyes to how other people live and all that.
And that's the hard part about kids these days. Like, for us, we're like, everybody has these daily struggles. Then nowadays, you're like, fuck, I know I'm poor because Ricky's eating dinner every night.
All right. So my parents ended up getting divorced, and I became what they called a latchkey kid.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've heard the term. So after school, I'd rush home and be at home waiting for my brother and sister to get off the school bus or whatnot. We'd have dinner, and then when my mom got home, she got home. You know, she was working like 2 jobs. So all that was just normal.
Yeah.
It was normal for me to take care of my siblings.
And that's where that really just started to solidify. Like, Mike, the caregiver, the number one dependable guy. Like, that's like sort of like, it's like childhood went by real quick, because now it's like, well, shit, I've got to help provide for my young brothers and sisters. Like, this is my cross to bear, sort of.
I was definitely more mature than my peers.
Yeah.
I'd hear them complain about having to go home and clean their room, and I'm like, really?
I got a full house.
That's all you got to do? You don't have to go home and cook anything? Okay. So yeah, I made a lot of friends, because moving around, you just keep meeting new people.
Yeah.
So, it helped me out later in life, especially joining the military and everything. Just that constant moving was easy.
Yeah.
But, I also had my troubles, get caught up in the wrong crowd,
I kind of heard a rumor that you were a ruffian.
A little bit of gang activity when I was a kid, but I had to do it to protect myself.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of drugs, got in trouble, stuff like that. But yeah, I did what I had to do to survive.
Yeah.
So, I'd say I think it was like 12, 13 years old. I started working under the table. Not what you're thinking right now. So really what I meant was that I was getting paid under the table.
Oh.
I saw your eyes light up.
I was like, we're going to transition into sex work. A perfectly normal career. There should be no shaming.
He was 12 and 13 years old, and he was sex trafficked. So, no, I was getting paid under the table, which means, obviously I wasn't on the payroll.
Yeah.
So I used to it's going to get weird again. I used to make salads. So I was working at the same restaurant as my mom, and I was out back making salads. Just putting whatever dressing you want on it, tossing it, all that shit. So
that's real street crime right there, folks.
Oh, absolutely. There was nothing more gangster than tossing everybody's salad for them.
Hey, we need to make these salads. Who do we got to get paid under the table? You can get Mikey. He'll make a salad out back for free. Nah, we got to pay the kid something.
He gets paid under the table. That kid could toss a mean salad.
I'm trying to picture this in a sort of like Goodfellas or Casino type movie.
They just hand me an envelope and said my name on it, like, you done good today.
You did good, kid.
Good job, kid.
Best chef salad. Mwah.
You were wicked good at that.
Oh, that's got to be one of the most unique things I've heard. That's, oh gosh.
And so I recently I got one of those IRS forms that they send, and they show how far back you've been paying taxes and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I first started paying taxes at 14 years old.
Holy shit.
I was working in a supermarket, just trying to make the money to help out around the house and all that. My mom had to sign a waiver so that I could go work there because I was too young. I think they were hiring at 15, but me being 14, I needed a parental waiver.
Oh, I worked at Burger King at 14, and they absolutely did not require a parental waiver. In fact, when they got audited, they had to actually go through the employees. I got fired that day, and I'm like, but I've been working late shifts for 3 weeks. Like, I had parents who gave 0 fucks. Here I am, 14, closing at Burger King in order to make sure that they don't get closed down. Like, just fire the brown kid. Don't let him know what's going on.
Thanks for your help, kid.
I was devastated. I remember still to this day, skateboarding to work and my manager just sweating bullets. You don't work here anymore, right? If anybody asks, yeah, you didn't work here at all. Like, took me years to figure out, like, oh, what they were doing was illegal.
You got fired from your first job while other kids were out there playing Little League Baseball.
Yeah, exactly. I was devastated.
The struggle started early.
I was like, here I am. I didn't have any energy to even skateboard back home. I just felt like I can't believe I let the Burger King down. What am I doing with my life? Studying, going to school, letting the king down?
So I actually got a picture from the newspaper where it was me and my best friend. We both worked at the same supermarket, but we only had one bike in between us. And it had snowed probably like 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
So we're riding the mountain bike to school, to work. I'm on the handlebars. He's pedaling. And some car like stops us at the bottom of the hill and is like, hey, can you do that again? We're like, do what again? Go back up the hill and come down again so I can take a photo. We're like, what for? Oh, because you're going to be in the newspaper. So, young kids were like, sure. But we got to be at work by such and such. Wait, you guys work? How old are you? We're 14. We had waivers.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, yeah, go back up the top of the hill, and I'm going to catch you like in the middle somewhere, and we're going to put it in the front page. So they did. We were famous for, I don't know, a couple hours.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, so like I said, my mom had, she worked 2 jobs, and then she was going to nursing school.
Oh, shit.
And, I actually learned, that's where I kind of figured out my love for like medical stuff.
Yeah.
Because I would help her study. I wasn't even doing my own homework. I was helping her with flashcards and everything, and all this medical stuff. It was like intriguing.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that more than my own schoolwork.
Yeah.
Which was reflected in my grades. But yeah,
I can't do basic math, but I can do trauma care like you wouldn't believe.
And my mom really impressed me with the amount of stuff she was able to do. She finished top of the class.
Holy shit.
In nursing school. She never graduated high school. She didn't even finish freshman year because of me, because she had me.
Yeah.
So really, she sacrificed most of her youth and a lot of her education for me.
Yeah.
But she was able to finish first in the class, which was it was really impressive.
That's badass.
I was very impressed to see that. I think that early on showed me what hard work can do.
Yeah.
You put that effort and you work hard, you can accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I learned that at an early age, which I think is good. It worked out for me.
Yeah.
Definitely set me up for success in the future.
Absolutely. Seeing your mom freaking persevere and keep driving through all of that. I know there's a lot of times, a lot of people that I've run into where same circumstances, but parents just give up. They just completely quit and leave it up to the kids to figure it out. And kudos to your mom for freaking sticking it through and kicking ass. That is amazing.
Yeah, my dad becoming a truck driver at 19, to support the family. That too was another good example for me at that time. All right, so my parents were divorced. My dad had moved to northern Massachusetts. He ended up in New Hampshire, but I remember this story where I used to drive my car with my brother and sister up to just below the New Hampshire border.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts. There's a place called Billerica. Right. So
sounds like a lovely place.
Oh, it was great. It was great. It was a complete culture shock for me.
Yeah. Because
that's where you find, a lot of those guys that listen to the hard rock and metal, and we're driving those 5.0 Mustangs that Daddy bought them.
Oh yeah.
So they're driving around and they're like, oh, you hear my exhaust? I got a 5.0. I'm like, oh, cool. I just got my first car.
Crab cakes and Mustangs.
So yeah, my first car, I bought for $600. It was a 1980 Z28.
Nice.
So it was a pretty sweet car.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a lot of work that I had to get done to it. Swap out motors and stuff like that. Body was in bad condition, but I was just happy to have it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was being a hero one day. But you look back and you're like, you failed big time on that one. So in my Z28, I had, subwoofers.
Yeah.
Right. So we were driving up to my dad's one day and I blew my motor.
Oh.
Right. So I pulled to the left side of the road because I was in the left lane. And I look at my brother and sister. I'm like, we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I got to run to a payphone.
Yeah.
And I got to find a way to, to get my mom or my dad to come pick us up.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, you guys stay here and watch my subwoofer on the side of the highway. And I'm going to run and find a payphone or somebody's house phone or something. So I ended up running like 3 miles to a gas station to call my mom. And she was like, so where's your brother and sister? I was like, well, they're watching my subwoofer. And she's like, what? You left your brother and sister on the side of the highway? What if they get kidnapped? I was like, I didn't think of that.
But I was worried about the subwoofer.
I pay for those things. So now looking at it, I'm like, that was a pretty boneheaded decision. How long did it take me to run the 3 miles there and then run the 3 miles back? But I got there. They were fine. They were sitting on the side of the hill. They were not in my car.
And the subwoofer?
It was still in the car. So it was good.
That's good.
It was good. Yeah. But after that, I learned my lesson with that one. Never do that again. All right. So yeah, my mom, there was a man that kind of came between my mom and dad.
Yeah.
My dad was working late. This would be obviously before they divorced. And he came home one day and, saw my mom on the porch, kissing another man, which was our neighbor who lived downstairs. So that's what ended up, driving them to get divorced. But later on, she ended up dating him. Mm. So he divorced his wife and left his kid with his ex, and then moved in with us. So as a teenager who, I'm the man of the house.
Yeah.
And then this guy just comes in and he was a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, he was terrible. I hated the guy. And, he moves in, he's this Harley riding guy, thinks his shit don't stink. All the ladies love him. He's a ladies guy. But he would treat us like shit. And, he just thought he was like so tough to push around the kids. You know what I mean? So there were plenty of times where, me and my brother would, stand up to him and it would end up like him pushing my brother down the stairs or just something like that. But that was the guy she ended up getting married to. So he treated my mom pretty bad. He was terrible to her. And I never understood why she put up with him as long as she did. But she was, eventually able to get away from him, which was good. But he preyed on women. Yeah. So what he would do is he would use his looks and, his personality and all that. And he would meet women and then use them as long as he can. And then he would move on to the next one, which is what he did. He ended up in Maine and found some rich lady who was ended up with like a terminal illness.
Oh, geez.
So then he inherited all her money, stuff and all that. And then he moves on to the next one. And that was what he did. Yeah. So, I joined the Marine Corps at that time and, got away from that.
How old were you when you joined?
I was 18.
18.
So right out of high school. Well, not right. I had to make sure I celebrated 4th of July at home. So then after that.
I mean, you got to.
Yeah. Everybody's talking about other parties that are coming up and stuff. And they're like, you going to boot camp? Oh, that sucks. I'm like, well, I could push it off a couple weeks.
You should.
Yeah. And that's what I did. So, I celebrated 4th of July with my friends. And, they sent me off well, in the right way. And Yeah, I was actually in jail 2 weeks prior to me leaving for boot
No
camp.
shit.
Yes, my mom left me in jail too. She's like, "You got to learn your lesson." And then when she did come pick me up, it was like it was winter. It was really cold, and she made me sit in the back of the truck the whole ride home. Yeah, just teach me a lesson. Damn. But it actually worked out because the judge said that if I leave for boot camp, he'll drop all the charges for me and my buddies.
Yeah,
which he did. And I thought that was great that I could help out that way.
You took one for the team in the biggest way.
I was like, all right, guys, charges are dropped, but I have to go to boot camp. You're welcome.
Now, Mikey, Stevie, little Jerome, I need you guys to be good.
My buddy's like, they didn't drop the weed charge on me. It's like, well, what do you want me to do, dude? I'm going to boot camp. I just helped you out with everything else.
Yeah.
And you're worried about that little weed charge?
If you could go back and kind of take care of it all.
I was like, dude, that was your weed. It wasn't even ours. You threw it into my car and tried to let me take the rap for it. And now you're complaining?
I'd like to know whatever happened to that guy.
I'm sure he's doing nothing in life. Which is why I had to get out of there. I was like, man, I can't stay here and keep doing that.
Oh my God. So you take one for the team and you ship off.
Yeah. So I ended up joining on the buddy program.
Yeah.
So I had two other friends that went with me, and Jose and Norman. And in the buddy program, they tell you, you guys won't be separated. You guys will be together the whole time. And we'll make sure and we'll see to that.
They will.
Oh, yeah. So we were super excited. We were like, yeah, all three of us in boot camp together. What could go wrong? Well,
but a lot could go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they find out you're on the buddy program. Bring your buddies with you. Let's go. So, we ship off, my 120 pound self.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was glad I was 120 pounds because I went to high school at 85 pounds. So I'm like, all right, 120 pounds. I'll be able to tough it out. I just hope the packs aren't heavy. So,
but they were.
Oh, yeah. Well, I ended up carrying others too.
Oh God.
So, we leave for boot camp. We're in the receiving and we get split up.
Oh man.
So, it was me and Norman together in our platoon, and then Jose was in a different one. So I think Norman brings it up to the drill instructor and it's like, hey, we're missing one of our buddies. And he's like, hey, you're missing one of your buddies. He's like, what are you talking about? Well, we all came in the buddy program. You just fucked up. And I'm looking at him like, what are you doing, man?
Don't do this.
You're screwing us. What's his name? It's Jose. Oh, Jose. Jose, really? All right, good to go. So they go upstairs down with all his drill instructors. And they're like, okay, recruit, do you want to come join this platoon so you could be with your buddies? So what do you think he's going to say? His drill instructors are standing there breathing down his neck. Like, yeah, little bitch, you want to go with your friends? You want to go play with your buddies?
Yes.
So, of course, he says no. So my drill instructor, as witty as he was like, he looks at us and he's like, do you want your friend to join you? And we're like, of course not, sir. Well, good. Okay, so since we solved that issue, you guys can go back upstairs and we'll go back to our thing. So we got smoked for like 4 hours. It was fun. But after that, it was, me and Norman were together, inseparable. So
Or by himself.
Oh, I don't know what was happening to him up there. I mean,
Nobody knows what happened to this guy.
I just heard a bunch of squealing and screaming, and I was like, oh shit, we fucked him. I feel bad for his ass.
We need to find out what happened to this guy, because after that day, it was like, I don't know you.
Well, I actually ran into him again in Okinawa.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so him and Norman ended up in the same unit. And And I ended up in Okinawa, and I was like, hey guys, let's meet up. And we met up, and it was cool. You know, it was good to see each other again on the other side of the globe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. We went out drinking, did a bunch of young Marine dumb stuff, you know, spent all our money on shit that, we, probably shouldn't have. Lots of drinking. Yeah. So yeah, it was good to see those guys again. But yeah, I got to see him while in boot camp in church. Nice. I never went to church until I went to boot camp.
Yep.
That was the only time you get to relax. So we all took advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
And we went. For me, the mental portion of it wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
The physical portion was hard for the first couple months. Getting adjusted and all that. But like being on a schedule and having people rely on you and all that, that really wasn't that hard for me.
Yeah.
So, one person screws up, we all pay. I kind of had that mentality before I left, because if I screwed something up at home, my brother and sister would suffer.
Yep.
So, for me and the maturity level, I was a lot more mature than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I knew what responsibility was. I knew how to, balance my schedule and, prioritize what's important and what's not. A lot of those kids suffered because they didn't know how to do that, because they had mommy and daddy do everything for them. So yeah, the mental aspect was, it was pretty easy for me. Physical, I picked it up. So graduate boot camp. At this point, I'm now 150 pounds. I gained 30 pounds of muscle in boot camp because I got 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
And I worked out,
consistency,
involuntary workouts, but yeah, I worked out.
Yeah.
So, 30 pounds of muscle. My mom was very surprised when she saw me. And she had her husband with her. And, he's walking around strutting his stuff, being the hot shit that he thinks he is. And he looks at me and he's like, yeah, I remember this place. Like, the fuck you talking about?
Yeah.
He goes, oh, you didn't know? I'm a Marine. Like, well, wait a second.
Whoa.
Wait a second. You never said anything about being in the Marine Corps. All right. And no timeline would ever match up with it, because all the other stories you tell me about your biker days and all that shit. So when the fuck were you a Marine? He's like, oh, I'm medically retired. Like, you're medically retired? Like, you never say what units did you go to and stuff? You never talked about it. He's like, oh, well, I just never really wanted to talk about it. I'm like, okay, so talk about it now.
Yeah.
Like, you think we have this in common, so let's talk.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's not that much to talk about. Well, why not? Well, so I hurt myself in boot camp. I broke my ankle and I got medically retired. I'm like, well, then you're not a Marine, you're a recruit. He's like, no, back in my day, we started off as privates. We didn't do this recruit stuff. So technically I'm a Marine. I'm like, you never made it out of boot camp. What do you mean? How are you going to, like, dude, I just went through boot camp. You're at my graduation and you're going to tell me, oh, I remember this place. Boot camp was tough. I was like, what week did you break your ankle? He's like, second week. I was like, forming is a week. How did you break it? I stepped in a hole. I'm like, dude, you're legit. Fuck. Wish you would have told me ahead of time. So yeah, he started talking about all these other, like the drill instructors and stuff. He's like, yeah, I remember when I went through boot camp. I was like, you didn't go through boot camp. You made it 2 weeks. He's like, you shut the fuck up. What do you think, you're a big man now? So yeah, it was always entertaining with him. It was always that back and forth, kind of like me and Tim, it's just that back and forth banter between him and I, so
for those listening in, Mike and Tim have a healthy competition between the two of them.
It's not a competition, man. You know that. Come on.
It's a slaughter.
There's only one winner in that.
I love that though. Every branch has those guys that like sort of went in or or something happened, but they never give like the full details. Go, I was in special forces. Oh, you were? Well, I went to 30th AG and I had an 18X contract, but I got disqualified. Well, what happened? First day walking in, I slipped and broke my leg and got medically retired. Sounds to me like you got hurt upon just reaching the first step in becoming a soldier. Well, yeah, if you want to be technical about it, yeah.
Well, at least he made it through that the moment of truth in boot camp,
Those fucking holes still get you.
The moment of truth, I think, was pretty hard. They sit you in a room, everybody's sitting there, and what haven't you told us? Tell us now, or else if we find out, your life is screwed. And we're all sitting there shaking like, did I forget? Did I not tell him something? I already know some of you are lying. Stand up, walk through that door, and tell us the truth. And no shit, you see a bunch of people get up and walk out.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, damn, what haven't I told him? So at least he made it through that.
Hey, that's the toughest part.
Yeah, it's the toughest part. So, after that, it was Marine combat training. That was in Camp Geiger, which is part of Lejeune in North Carolina. We went during the winter, so it was freezing. It doesn't snow very often in North Carolina, but it snowed while I was in MCT. So I remember, sitting and eating breakfast, and they wouldn't let us sit on our Kevlars because that's not how we utilize our helmets. So they made us sit down in the snow and get soaking wet and cold. Yeah. So I remember that. And then I also remember Jose running down the street because we had just finished land nav.
Yeah.
And he says, guys, I need your help. What happened? I left my rifle out there. So I'm like, what? How do you leave your rifle? He's like, I don't know. I placed it down and then now I can't find it. I'm like, well, do you remember how long ago you lost it? I have no idea, man. I was like, so go tell the instructor. What do you want me to do? You want me to start running back in the woods? He's like, oh, come on, man. Come help me. And I was like, all right, if we can go, we'll go help you. So the instructor's like, you better go fucking find it. So we start, trekking through the woods and stuff. And I think we're probably like 2 hours looking for this thing because we had stopped at every point and we didn't see the rifle.
Yeah.
So now we're thinking, okay, did you go off course? Did you put it down and take a leak? I mean, what happened? Or maybe one of the instructors found it, which is like the worst.
That's the worst case scenario. Oh, yeah.
So we continue to look around. We go back to the same points and we end up finding it buried under leaves. And I'm looking at him like, you buried your rifle under leaves? He's like, no, I didn't bury my rifle. I said, your rifle's buried right here under leaves. He's like, oh, that must have been when I was laying down and, I was joking around and making like a snow angel. And I guess the pile of snow and leaves got on top of it. I'm like, do you know the work you're going to have to do at the armory to like fix this? Imagine your rifle's soaked. It's got dirt and leaves and everything all over it. And okay. But you were making snow angels during land nav?
I mean, why not? It's the most rational thing to do. He was living his best life. He was living in the moment. And in the moment is the place to be because that's when you truly appreciate the beauty of snow in North Carolina. And you got no choice but to make a snow angel.
Yeah, it's not often it snows, so make the best of it, right?
Just take some time.
But we grew up in the snow. We would walk to school with like 3 or 4 feet of snow.
Hey, each time it's magical.
Oh, my God. Yeah, North Carolina pretty much shuts down for like a dusting.
A dusting, yeah.
They shut everything down. Yeah. Schools, work. Like Marines can't go to work because it's a dusting.
Yeah, Fayetteville with a little bit of snow is like post-apocalyptic world.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody fucking freaks the fuck out.
At that time, the way they would take care of the roads was these guys would drive around the back of pickup trucks and start shoveling dirt and shit out on the road because they didn't have any trucks. Yeah. They do now. I think they got one. Yeah. But yeah, it was a bunch of dudes in the back of a pickup truck just shoveling shit out, and it never worked. Yeah. So yeah, they've improved a little bit in that department. After MCT, I went to the schoolhouse, and then, which was still on Lejeune. And then I went to Camp Pendleton. Pendleton was nice.
Yeah.
It had a lot of hills and, a lot of stuff I wasn't used to seeing. The weather was always beautiful. I think it rained 1 month out of the year.
Oh, shit.
And then the rest of the time it was, nice, cool weather. But even in the winter, it was like 70 degrees, 75 degrees or something. It was beautiful.
Oh,
and we were right there on the beach. So yeah, that's actually where I kind of messed up my back the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing I think at that time it was like 22-mile hike, and we were going through the hills and just like unnecessary stuff just to like kind of break people off.
Yeah, as usual.
And I went to boot camp at 120 pounds, so I did a lot of damage there.
Yeah,
and then 150 pounds, and the sergeant at the time was like, "Well, what'd you get issued?" And I'd tell him, and he's like, "Okay, all that goes in your pack, because if we go to war, you're bringing it all, right?" So we're doing like 22 miles in the hills with everything we own. I'm 150 pounds at that time. So yeah, it broke me off. I completed it, but after I completed it, I went to medical.
Yeah.
Because my back was killing me. I could barely walk.
You just got done humping everything you got issued.
Yes.
For back.
I mean, even the shelter half. Yeah. The shelter half was on top of my pack. We didn't use it. Damn.
It's a horrible idea. If you're listening out there, it is never advisable to just pack a bunch of random shit just because it's issued to you to go to war with. Not the way to do it.
They made it, they were like, all right, hey, well, if you hike with all this stuff now, imagine how easy it's going to be when, you take less stuff.
I mean, that's the way to think about it.
If I could take less stuff, because I don't even know if I'm going to be able to hike after that at this point. So I go to medical, and they're like, yeah, your back is really messed up. So we'll give you like physical therapy and stuff like that. But if you come to medical again, we're going to have to med board you. And I'm a PFC. I'm like, I just joined the Marine Corps. I'm not trying to get med boarded. And then right away it flashes back to me, my mom's husband.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm a Marine. I got med boarded.
No.
so right away I was like, I just started the journey. I don't want to, I can't end it now.
Yeah.
I'm a PFC. What am I going to say? Like, I joined the Marine Corps. I got promoted once and then never saw anything, never went anywhere, and got medically retired. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do what I can, physical therapy, working out and all that stuff. But yeah, I didn't go back for probably 15, 16 years for my back, when I should have gone a long time ago. But, we talk about the culture and stuff, and our generations, you didn't complain about things because you didn't want to be that liability.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be perceived as weak. So, everybody just sucked it up. And in the long run, it messes with our quality of life.
Yeah.
So I gave the Marine Corps, I've been in 22 years. I've given the Marine Corps 22 of my best years. And I need to make sure that the next 22 years are going to be good as well.
Yeah.
But, just putting off all that stuff, it's no good.
No, that's like the worst thing a medical provider, nurse, corpsman, doc, the worst thing you can ever tell any young soldier or airman or Marine is, yeah, next time if you continue to complain about this, we're just going to med board you. Like, that's the wrong fucking thing to say. It's like, what the fuck was this guy thinking? The guy's just faking it. Motrin, he'll be fine. Just got to really scare him.
Yeah, he was a corpsman. He was probably like an E3. So yeah, all the medical advice I got from him, is probably legit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Just take some Motrin or, come back here and I'll make sure your career's over. So what's it going to be? Oh.
So living in Camp Pendleton was great. It's Southern California. There was a lot to do outside of the base. So being the young man I was, I lived life to the fullest. That was one of the things my mom told me before I left for boot camp. She said, your childhood was kind of stolen from you. You were forced to grow up too fast. So enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Just go out and have fun. Be young. And, I took that to heart a little bit too much sometimes. But, I was definitely out partying all the time and, the girlfriends and all that stuff. So, young Marine life. It was a lot of barracks parties and stuff, stupid stuff. So, after Pendleton, I went to Okinawa. Okinawa was fun.
Yeah.
From Okinawa, you do a lot of these smaller little like deployment type stuff. It's Philippines, Thailand, Korea, Australia sometimes. So that was good because I got to see a lot of different countries.
Yeah.
And then now I'm kind of feeling like, I'm doing what I wanted to do, exploring the world and doing cool stuff. Because I think every October in the Philippines, a typhoon hits and the Marines are always there doing humanitarian assistance every year. So, they like us there. We have good times there. And, some of the best lumpia I've ever tasted was from there. So, it was good. I actually stayed longer than I was supposed to. So I was supposed to only be there for a year, and the year came.
Yeah.
And nobody ever said anything to me.
So you said, fuck it, I'm going to stay.
So I'm like, I'll just stay, I'll keep staying. Like I hadn't re-enlisted or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just staying.
Yeah.
And, we were getting ready to go to Australia. We had already done all the agricultural inspections and got ready to load the ships and all that stuff. And, the manpower officer comes running over to me. He's like, "Are you Gildersleeve?" I was like, "Yes, sir." He's like, "You were supposed to be gone like weeks ago." I never got any orders. Why didn't you say anything? I didn't know I had to.
Because I like it here.
I was like, "I'll tell you what, sir." He's like, "I'm going to call the monitor." I say, "Okay, but do it after I get back from Australia." He's like, "No, I'm getting you out of here before Australia." I'm like, "Sir, I did all this work.
Yeah.
Let me go." So I think it was the next day I had orders.
Oh.
And they wanted me gone in 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So I had to get all my stuff packed up. I had a vehicle there too that I had to sell, because being a good Marine, the perks were your command would let you get a vehicle. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I was more mature than everybody else and more responsible. So they let me get a car, which helped out. I enjoyed it.
I love how it never works out if you're a good dude and just minding your own business and get a stroke of luck. It's like, I'll ride this out. The universe is looking out for me. Hold up. No. You're having a great time? You're loving your life? We got to put a stop to that shit.
That was like the one time that like being really good at your job and being reliable and dependable was working out, Later on in my career, I found out it's not as good anymore. So after Okinawa, they, I decided to re-enlist and, I was going to get out after 4 and become a fireman. So I was like, I'm kind of liking this Marine thing. So maybe I'll just do a lat move, change my job.
Yeah.
So I heard they had crash fire rescue over in the air wing. So I'm like, that'd be kind of cool to set me up for being a fireman later. Yeah. So what you have to do is like, if you want to go to that MOS, you have to sit down with the AUK field sponsor, like the senior guy in that job, and he's got to do an interview with you. So I'm sitting down with him and I went in super professional and doing everything I need to do as a Marine, super motivated and all that. And after the interview, he's like, "Hey, sorry to tell you this, but you're not going to fit in. So it's a no for me." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're a little too motivated." I'm like, "Wait a second. You're telling me I'm too motivated?" He's like, "Yeah, I just don't think you'll fit in with the guys. The guys are a little more laid back." I'm like, "You're kidding me."
You're a 10. We're looking more for like a 4, 5 at most.
Somebody we can groom.
Preferably a 3, honestly. If I'm being honest with you, we're really looking for a 3.
So yeah, I walked out of there and I had to go pick a different job. But I did this land and support thing, and I really liked that job. You do different things all the time, whether it's hooking up loads to the bottom of a helicopter, being a machine gunner for motor T companies, loading ships, doing beach ops, airfield ops, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good time. I got to, be a leader, and I was in the field a lot, which was cool. We had good times in the field. So yeah, that was good. After Camp Lejeune, well, in Lejeune, we did the deployments. That's when a lot of the stuff was kicking off. Went to Fallujah a couple times. After I got back from my first deployment in Fallujah, they by name requested me to go out with the next company. And I remember, I remember thinking, like, nobody knows me in this MOS. I just got this job.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out it was the other sergeant that was in the doing a lap move in the schoolhouse with me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, he picked me to go with him. And he had got promoted to staff sergeant. So this is where that, being really good and all that stuff kind of
bites you in the ass,
right? So, I think I had like two weeks after the deployment to go, kind of decompress and then go right back out to the field to get ready to go again. In those 2 weeks, I ran into a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
The stuff we saw, did, experienced and all that in Fallujah. It really took its toll.
Mm-hmm. And just so the people listening in are clear, this isn't like Fallujah, like after this is Fallujah. Well, it was still being hard fought and contested over. And it was not the period in time where Fallujah was just calmed down and you could just stroll through the neighborhood. Like, this was still hard fighting. You're literally fighting for inches and blocks. Like, this is
2004.
Yeah. This is as real as it gets.
So yeah, we went in after they had hung the contractors from the bridge.
Yeah.
That was kind of the last straw, and we went in after that. So yeah, that was pretty tough. It was tough on, not just me, but all my guys.
Yeah.
So, I remember getting back and hearing that I had to go right back out to the same place. Like, my heart sunk. So I cannot believe that.
Yeah.
And I got the 2 weeks in between, and to go right back out to the field. So, like I had said today in the training with the soldiers today, I was at a point where I was just always drinking. I stayed drunk, and I was not happy with my life.
Yeah.
And I was ready to end it. I had a plan. I was ready to go. And I remember sitting in my closet and having a rifle in my mouth, getting ready to do it. But the only thing that stopped me was, I wanted to be there for my boys when they went back out to Fallujah. I couldn't let them go and me not be there as their leader to, help them through that, because I wasn't the only one suffering from that. A lot of the other guys were too.
Yeah.
I think like half the platoon ended up getting out. So we got a boot drop. But yeah, so that stopped me from doing it. I said, I got to be there. I got to be there for those guys.
Yep.
So
those quick turnarounds were horrible. They kept going, like, all the way through 5, 6, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. You face your very own existence, your mortality, and constantly on edge of losing your life. Like, you've never been more aware of your own mortality. That you understand you are flesh and blood, and at any moment in this game, like, it can be all over. And then you finally rotate out, and then to be told, going right back in. Like, that fucks with you on so many levels, especially when it's not just a random, like, it's by name request. It's Mike Gildersleeve. We need him. It's like, motherfucker.
And the excuse he gave later kind of, it really pissed me off because he was like, hey, I by name requested you so that I could do less. Because I know that you can do the job and you can handle it.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dead serious.
Oh.
And then there's more stuff, later on in that deployment. Yeah, he actually told the platoon that, he was telling everybody, because we were getting mortared or rocketed, and, he told everybody to get under cover. And we were sitting there talking. He's like, I don't want you guys to get out there and, end up getting hit and hurt, because I'm not coming out to grab you. I'll send the next guy, and then the next guy, and then the next guy. And I'm standing there looking at him like, you're fucking kidding me, right? And he's like, no. It's like, okay. All right. So at that point, I knew that he needed his job changed.
Yeah.
He didn't need to be there. So I had to reach out to the company command and, tell him what he said.
Yeah.
Like, we can't have that guy with us.
No, hell no. Did they actually pull him?
Yeah, they did.
Fuck yeah.
So they ended up pulling him, but then they brought him back and they pulled me to go do something outside of my job because, again, I was reliable and because I had the combat experience. I had been in those firefights. I had shot machine guns and, dealt with the mortars and rockets and IEDs and RPGs. And, so they were like, all right, this guy, he's seasoned.
Yeah.
He can help us out. So let's take him over. They brought me over to the company. Put me in some jobs that were not my usual.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up finishing that deployment out as a CO's gunner. So he picked me to be his gunner.
Yeah, it's remarkable in this line of work, the amount of trouble you'll find yourself in for just being really good at your job. And it's like, it's that catch-22. It's like, okay, I could just be like everybody else and just do the bare minimum. I probably won't be exposed to anything else. Probably won't be exposed to as many missions. Won't be put out there. But damn it, that's not the way I was raised. That's not who I am. I have to perform. I have to do the best possible job I can. And then inherently that's going to put you in more danger, and you got to roll this dice a lot more often. But that's when you have to be true to yourself. Are you going to blow off responsibility, or are you going to rise to the occasion and put all the chips in and double down on yourself and just keep kicking ass and being the fucking leader you are?
I still had that no fail mentality.
Yeah.
Like perfection all the time. You had to be perfect. You can't fail.
Yeah.
Because if you fail, you let other people down.
Yeah.
And I was not willing to accept that. I was not going to let anybody down. So, I even had to pull one of my guys from ever leaving the wire just based off comments he had made about wanting to be a hero, wanting the Purple Heart, wanting to get a Medal of Honor, stuff like that. I heard him talking about that in the smoke pit, and I pulled him. I said, you're a liability. I can't let you go outside the wire. So you now work in the COC as radio watch. And he stayed there.
But it's the right call. It's the right move. Nobody in the right mind is saying stuff like that. I think that's somebody that's willing to fuck something up, let someone get compromised just to try to capitalize on a moment. Like that's not what anybody needs to be doing these jobs.
No, he's risking, endangering everybody else.
Yeah.
Because if he goes out there for that glory, someone has to drag his ass back.
Exactly. Yeah. I wonder what happened to that guy.
I have no idea.
If you're listening, fuck you.
So we got back from the second trip to Fallujah. And I remember I was due for orders. And so I had gone to see the monitor in person.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what do you want to do? You know, you just did back to back. Let's give you a break. What do you want to do? I was like, well, you know, maybe I could do an instructor billet in, say, the Northeast, you know, somewhere close to home.
Yeah.
Because I just put my mom through a lot with the deployments and stuff like that. So he's like, well, I don't have anything for you there, but I do have a Puerto Rico billet.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to have to think about that. Okay. Yes, I'll take it.
I'm in.
So, yeah, he sent me to Puerto Rico on an instructor billet. So basically my responsibilities, I was the ops chief, but we did all the training for the reservists to get them ready to deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan. So based off the experience I had,
Yeah.
you know, it helped out a lot with getting these guys ready.
Yeah.
I taught them convoy ops, patrolling, building clearing, room clearing type stuff. And I got so good at it that, you know, the FBI came over and they were like, hey, can you run us through some courses? And then the local SRTs, the police SRTs were like, hey, can you help us out?
Yeah.
National Guard, same thing. So I was instructing all the time for that type of stuff. And the base was abandoned. So I had the base housing and the barracks and all that stuff to work with. And the FBI had all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so we utilized that as well. So I think that was one of my better duty stations. I mean, not to mention, that's where I met my wife.
Yeah. Let's pause and put a little more emphasis on that. The real reason why Puerto Rico is so important.
I love Puerto Rico. It's such a great place. That's why I go, you know, once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're thinking about retiring down there, aren't you?
Well, no. So, well, not right away. You know, I got kids in school and stuff, and, you know, I'm going to want them to complete their schooling. But really, it's going to be up to my wife at that point because, you know, she's got her career.
Yeah.
So my career is coming to an end, but she's got her career.
Yep.
You know, in occupational therapy. So she's got a good job. She really likes it. She likes the location. So we're going to stick in that area.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we'll stay there, but, you know, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's her turn. And, you know, I love her for everything she's done. You know, taking care of the family when I've been gone, you know, holding down the fort and all that. And, you know, supporting me through all that. And especially, you know, getting treatment.
Yeah.
The treatment I should have got a long time ago. But, you know, she supported me through all that, even with the extension at Laurel Ridge and staying there longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I owe a lot to her. She's a very strong woman.
Yeah, our family's put up with a lot, and not that the kids don't put up and deal with as much, but shout out to all the spouses to deal with our issues. Being married to a service member is not easy, especially one that deploys a lot and has a lot to deal with. So if you're out there listening, do yourself a favor. Before you go home tonight, stop by, pick up some flowers for your husband or for your wife, and spoil them with some love tonight. Not that kind. I'm talking about cook dinner, massage their feet, do some kind for them.
Why not both? we can surely do both.
Definitely.
Yes. So yeah, after I went back to Okinawa. So I was supposed to, the monitor reached out via email and he's like, hey, I got to give you guys orders. I need people in Okinawa. Will you go? And at this time, you know, I've got my son, my oldest, getting ready to be born. So I said, I'll do it on one condition. And that was that he allows me to stay here or stay there for the birth and then a few months so
Yeah.
I can help out and help my wife get settled, because it was an unaccompanied tour. So he agreed and said he'll take care of me on the back end. And, I got to stay a couple months after my son was born, and then I left for Okinawa for my unaccompanied, unaccompanied 2 years.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I flew my wife and son out there to see me every once in a while. And then she wanted to come out and stay there.
yeah.
So, we did this consecutive overseas tour, and I brought them out there. But then, we ended up getting sent back earlier, and we ended up back in Camp Lejeune. Yeah. So we've been there ever since. I've done some deployments from there, but, just being in one location for an extended period of time has been great.
Yeah.
It really has. I hadn't experienced that my whole life. So now that I'm getting to, and my kids are not having to, change schools and all that stuff, it felt good that they didn't have to live like me.
Yeah. They had some stability.
Absolutely. Then we had our second son, Eli.
Mm-hmm.
He's my ball of fire. He's the one I got to watch when he gets older. Michael's more mature, but Eli's the one. So yeah, in Lejeune, I ended up deploying to on SB MAGTF. So it's a crisis response Africa. It's a special purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force, and that was great because it was my first time to Africa. It was good to see new things, and I always saw Asia and the Middle East, so seeing Africa was good. It was something different, and then also Europe. So that was good times. Good times. Being a Marine was a big win for me. It was success because I got away from where I was, and I was thriving, and everything I was doing, I was succeeding at.
Yeah.
And it felt good. It felt good to be in control, and kind of mold the future.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, when we first enter service, we realize that's like the first time we're being recognized and we excel in something. And that's like the initial hook, line, and sinker. And why it's so hard to leave. It's so hard to fathom a life without this, because like there's your reward, your everything that's good about you comes from your service, what you do through the Marine Corps, the Army, the Air Force. And throughout our career, that's just consistently proven. Like, fuck, like I never had anything until I got in the service. I never did anything worthwhile till I deployed and became a leader in the military. And that's what shapes us and continues to drive us to stay in that, regardless of how bad things get, you're like, well, I'm really good at this.
Yes. And I got to buy my own house.
Yeah.
I own a house.
Yeah.
That was huge. Like, I'm not living in apartments. I'm not renting anything. I
own this motherfucker.
I have a home.
Yeah.
And, that felt good. And then, of course, being able to provide for my family and all that, and not have to struggle. And my kids don't have to struggle. They don't have to go through what I went through. That felt good. It was, I guess it elevated my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they're like, oh, you joined the military because you just want to get away because you don't have no other options because you're uneducated and you got nothing else. But in reality, it elevates your life. And, I'm definitely happy that I joined the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So, struggles and success of being a Marine. I had those early struggles.
Yeah.
I mean, they started early and then I kept struggling because I didn't want to get help with anything, the drinking and partying and not getting the treatment I should have got many years ago. And, but with the struggles, there are success, meritorious promotions, striving for perfection all the time.
Yeah.
It felt good when you got it, when you accomplished it. It's 100% control.
Yeah.
And control was a big thing in my life. I had to have control of everything.
Yeah. Because when you're not in control, things spiral out of control because you're the only one that can control them.
Absolutely. So, being in those leadership positions were great.
Yeah.
Because I was the one who said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I had full control.
Yeah.
I definitely liked control. So with the struggles with like PTSD and mental health, I let it build and fester for so many years because I was afraid of letting everybody down.
Yeah.
Or being perceived that I am not in control or I am not perfect. Something I just wasn't willing to accept.
Yeah.
Because it's all I knew. I had to be perfect. I had to be in charge. And I think that a lot of that comes from my childhood, with not having control of what's going on with my parents, with our living situations and stuff like that. Now I had a chance.
Yeah.
I was definitely going to take it.
If you could go back and give young Mike any advice on the future, what would it be?
Save your money. Because I'd be a millionaire right now. No, I definitely would have went sooner to go get help. I think a lot of things in my life would have improved, and just changed for the better.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I can go back and talk to that young sergeant and say, hey, go get help now, or else you're going to suffer later on.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, do I want to alter the way things ultimately played out? And well, I don't, because I think everything happens for a reason. If that, as crazy as it sounds, if that opportunity were to happen, if I was granted that little bit of time with my younger self, I would probably just tell him to just be more trusting of the process, to understand that everything happens for a reason, and just enjoy life a little more. Is one thing we talked about today was you can't wait for that retirement date to start living your life. Like, life is happening right now, this instant. Like, you gotta enjoy life as you're going through it. Don't just say that at some point you'll start living your life. At some point I'll start enjoying life. Like, it's happening now. Like, get busy living it.
And that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I had this deadline or this starting point. I was like, hey, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait till I retire to do this. I can't wait till I retire to do this.
Yeah.
Like, what's stopping me now?
Exactly.
You got to start doing it. You're wasting time you're never going to get back. So start now.
Yeah.
And now that I'm doing that, it's so much more rewarding and, fulfilling. So
let me ask you this. Where do you see Mike 10 years down the road?
10 years down the road. I Hopefully I'll move up to maybe the lumber department at Lowe's by then. I'm willing to start wherever, but eventually the lumber department. My wife's got a good job. So I'm just going to do something low stress.
Yeah, man. That's the name of the game. You got to start living just for you and your family. I think once you cross over that threshold and then you're on the other side of this healing journey, you realize like there's nothing worth stressing about or losing my mind about. Like every day is a gift. Like I really just want to be able to enjoy a life like that. That's it.
Going to all the sporting events and the school events and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So much more rewarding. And I'm going to be there for those things.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I'm there for those things. Retirement's going to be nice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dictate how that goes.
Hell yeah.
So it'll be nice.
How do the boys react to Dad now?
They love it. They're like, you got more energy,
Yeah.
happier. And, I get to, teach them new things and all that stuff. And my youngest still suffers a little bit with separation anxiety.
Yeah.
From the deployment and stuff. Even coming here, he needs to know a timeline. So when I'm leaving and then when I'm coming back. And, I have to promise him that I'm not leaving for more than just that time period. So even this, 3 days, it's kind of tough on him because he thinks I'm going to leave for a long time again.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that you and Tim are neck to neck on best podcast. I mean, how are we going to...
There's no neck to neck. No, neck to neck with Tim. He is slightly below. Like I said, he made for a really boring podcast because he barely spoke. So yeah, mine's better.
Tim,
if Tim wants to jump in and, defend himself, that's fine. I'll just shut off this mic.
Oh, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Tim.
Yeah. You can't say anything until you get a second episode. So we'll just leave it at that.
You only got a second episode because you don't know how to shut up.
That might be true. I did warn them, though.
Well, there you have it, folks. That wraps it up for today. I want to thank Mike Gildersleeve, our senior Marine correspondent today. Mike, any parting shots? Any last-minute things you want to say?
I'm better than Tim.
Tim with a small cameo. Any last-minute, parting shots?
Yeah, so fact checkers just checked that last comment, and it came back false. Tim is better than Mike. Fact checkers came back, and that is correct.
We're going to have to leave it up to you, folks. As always, I am Denny, and we are proudly sponsored by my OnlyFans, Feet Pics, Feet Boy 999. Thank you for the payment. And please buy some more of my socks on Poshmark. We are out of here. Whoa. We're not done. It's not over. We have more stuff to discuss. We have more things to talk about. Just need your help. Hang on a little longer. Sit back down. Hear me out. Recently found out that my buddy Teddy's mom is in need of our help. So, we need to rally, folks. Teddy's mom is fighting brain cancer. But while she's fighting brain cancer and while it's dormant, she's decided that she's going to team up with the Brain Tumor Charity and swim nonstop in order to raise money to fight brain cancer. Okay, well, she's not going to swim nonstop, but she's doing a lot of laps, folks. So we need to rally around Teddy and his mom and help them out. So I need you guys to take a piece of paper, take a pencil, take a pen, and write this down. You're going to go to justgiving.com. All right, you got that? Then you're going to little magnify little doodad up there. You're going to click it, and you're going to type in Nicola Rucker. Nicola, Nicola space Ruecker. And click search. And then you're going to find her cause, Nicola's Warrior Queen Swimming Challenge. Guys, I am asking you, if you support what we talk about on this podcast, if you find it important, you're enjoying the poop and fart jokes and the overly sexualization that we have of Greg and his geisha looks, please donate to this cause. Help out Teddy's mom. Teddy is an amazing person, but not only that, his family's phenomenal. Like, you ever been around people and like their family's just like genuinely good fucking people? That's Teddy and his family. Like, annoyingly good people. Like, seriously, if you've got 2 nickels and $1, put everything you got in this cause. If you've got to go home right now and sell 2 of your kids to make this happen, do it. You don't need 2 of them. You just need the 1. So just do me a favor. Go to justgiving.com and give some money towards Nicola Rucker's challenge. If you don't, I will punish Greg severely. I will. Promise you I will. All right, that's it. Please go do it. Send some money, or Greg will be punished. I'm out.